Hello, world. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We are broadcasting live from my home right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. I am Shannon Joy, and of course, it is Friday. I am self-producing, no prep, no bells and whistles. Annie's on a break, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. I hope you're all doing well. It is Friday, December 19th. Merry Christmas, everyone. It is the day before, the weekend before Christmas, and of course, everyone is going to be taking off and spending time with their family, myself included. So this is one of the last fully live broadcasts we're going to be doing, but we are going to be running a bunch of really great interviews for the live SJ broadcast next week. So some really good stuff. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're taking off Thursday and Friday, obviously, for the Christmas break, and the same schedule will run on the week after for the New Year's week as well. So we have a great show for you today. Of course, we're going to be going behind the Rumble Premium paywall in just about 30 minutes, and we are going to be watching a documentary today. It's actually a movie/documentary because there are so many cults of personality out there right now, so much mass formation, so much propaganda, repetition, fear-based and trauma-based manipulation happening on a mass scale in so many different areas of our life here in the United States of America. I thought it would be a good day to watch a documentary on one of the most insane cults in United States history back in the 70s, Jim Jones and Jonestown. Now, I was originally going to run the PBS documentary, which, by the way, is the best documentary I have ever watched in my life. Original footage of what happened in Jonestown, first-hand testimonies from people who were there, an extraordinary story about the development of a cult, how people can join cults, and how they use a warped version. In fact, Jim Jones himself used a completely warped and bastardized version of Christianity to draw in unsuspecting souls into his cult. But there was also a lot of politics involved in the creation and the elevation of the People's Temple, which was his cult. Very, very interesting. And then also, of course, the use of trauma-based mind control and repetition and fear conditioning to get people into a place of vulnerability, in this case, in a different country. The big question in the PBS documentary was this really voluntary mass suicide, drinking the Kool Aid? And that's where that term came from, by the way. Or was it mass murder? And a lot of the signs point to mass murder. So originally, when I built this show today, we were going to use Jonestown, the life and death of People's Temple. It was a PBS documentary that is not even available now on PBS. That's right. When I went to upload it, I was going to purchase it. I was going to upload it from PBS. It's been out for ages. And you can't get it anywhere except on Amazon in a DVD version, which is interesting. But that's because the rights were pulled for this documentary across the board. Even the creators of the documentary can't run it anywhere. So I found that to be really interesting, what was buried in that documentary. I mean, there were testimonies from Jackie Spears, who worked for U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan, who was murdered. He was assassinated at Jonestown. They have video footage. The last video footage that anyone has of Leo Ryan was contained in that documentary, and it's not available anywhere. So instead, we're going to be watching Jonestown Paradise Lost, which is another Amazon version, and it's free. to watch. And so I'm just wondering, I haven't seen it, so I'm hoping it's good. But we're going to watch that today for the Friday midday matinee with me, Shannon, Joy, with full commentary. That is for our Rumble Premium subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to Rumble Premium yet, make sure that you do so that you can join me behind the paywall in just about 20 minutes. But we're going to hang out for about 30 minutes. I want to say hi to all of you, have some Christmas cheer. I have one news item that I want to get to today. And yes, this is a J. Crew blouse. It's not really pajamas. It's a pajama style shirt, but I thought it would be apropos for our weekly broadcast from my home. By the way, I just took a little video of a holiday tour of my home. I know I didn't decorate my studio with Christmas cheer, but my home is decked out with Christmas cheer. So I took a little video. I'm going to be posting that up on my socials in the next week. And keep an eye on my Rumble channel. I am probably, because you know I can't keep my mouth shut about the news of the day, and you never know what they're going to drop on us during holiday vacation. They can't give us a break when it comes to breaking news and all of the shenaniganizing by the villains and the criminals in Washington, D.C. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the news next week, and I might be doing a live broadcast here from my home here and there. So keep it tuned here. Make sure you guys are checking back in. Also, next week and the week after, it's going to be a working week. I'm going to be working on some strategic planning for the Shannon Joy Show next year. And yes, I'm super pumped about Peter Schiff. I don't know, those of you who missed yesterday's show had Peter Schiff on. He is hot right now. Hot, hot, hot. Just finished an interview with Tucker Carlson. He was featured internationally at multiple forums. He's probably one of the best financial analysts out there and a huge proponent, obviously, of gold and silver. Schiff Gold has come on as the sponsor, the gold sponsor for the Shannon Joy Show in 2026, and I'm so pumped about that. So we announced that yesterday. There are going to be some other announcements as well. So yeah, I have a news item I want to get to today very quickly, and then we'll talk about Christmas. I have a Christmas story. I don't and never have taught my children about Santa Claus. And this is a story that I don't tell every Christmas, but I'll tell from time to time. It weaves into my philosophy of truth-based living, right? Like not weaving fantasies, not telling lies. And a lot of that, started with my upbringing. But when we had children, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy and I decided that I was not going to tell them the Santa Claus story because, well, I didn't ever want to lie to my children. So I'll tell that story. It's kind of funny, my evolution with this, but I'll tell that story. I want to hear your Christmas stories as well as we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It is the reason for the season. And as you guys know, I am a very devout Christian, and this is a special time of year for all of us. So I can't wait to say hello to all of you on the live chat. I'm going to do that right now. And again, set your alarms because in about 15 minutes, we're going to go behind the Rumble Premium paywall for a viewing of Jonestown Paradise Lost live with commentary from moi. I'll also read some of your comments as well. This is an important story, right? No one is immune to the cult. Even if you think you're immune to being sucked into a cult formation, that makes you all the more vulnerable. And we all have to be aware of the tactics and the techniques that cult leaders use to create their cults, but also tactics and techniques that are being used on a mass scale today. Repetition, misinformation, propaganda, division, isolation, trauma-based and fear-based messaging, which can draw anyone into cult-like thinking. And so this is why I think it's really important to understand Jonestown. I'm super bummed that we couldn't look at the PBS version, the documentary, The Life and Death of the People's Temple, because that really shows how the bastardization of Christianity is used to manipulate people. And we're seeing that today with the circus sideshow that was Turning Point USA yesterday with a cast of characters a mile long featuring Erica Kirk. I mean, we're seeing this kind of cult formation and the worship. First it was Charlie Kirk, and then now it's moving to these other actors, and people are drawn into the rhetoric, and it's full of lies. And so, we have to make sure that we're fighting against this. And knowledge is power. So this is why I want to feature. I've been wanting to feature an expose on Jonestown because it's highly political. It uses a lot of religion, and it's also, a lot of people believe that these early stories, you don't really hear a whole lot about the big cults these days in the US, but in the 70s it was like a thing. And a lot of people think that these cults, the elevation of people like Jim Jones was actually an operation. It was either funded or promoted or supported by intelligence agencies, the CIA, and used to develop some of the tactics and the techniques that they're using today on a mass scale, using mass media. And people like Candace Owens, people like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, and also a lot of the commentators on the left, people like Bill Maher. I think a lot of these people are actors. They might kind of believe the things that they're saying, but they do not veer from the script. And I think we also have actors in Washington, D.C. as well. We're beginning to see, it's happening. Exit stage left for Donald Trump. He is being replaced with a cast of characters. Susie Wiles is in control. That's why they ran the Vanity Fair story. That's why all of the imaging and the messaging is really tight on Susie Wiles. She's taking control. And we saw yesterday from Erica Kirk, it's not about raising her kids in 2026 and 27. It's not about Christianity. It's not about healing from the death of her husband. It's about J.D. Vance. She is dedicating her life to putting J.D. Vance, the puppet of Peter Thiel and the techno-fascists, in the Oval Office in 2028. And that's her mission. So it's very clear Erica Kirk is a political animal. She's a political actress, and along with all of them, and that the technocrats, the techno-fascists are in formation, and they are moving in to take complete control over the U.S. So Donald Trump, he'll probably be lucky if he makes it through this presidency without being impeached, but more likely they're just going to stick him on the campaign trail for the next 12 to 18 months while Susie runs the show back in Washington, D.C. And of course, he'll sign those executive orders. He'll sign. We're already seeing the Bidenification of Trump as well. He's looking like he's losing his mind. And we saw that with his address. It was rambling. It was loud. It was at warp speed. He delivered it super fast. It's just a really weird presentation from the Oval Office. There's another announcement he's making today. And so, I think Trump is out, Wiles is in, and J.D. Vance is the guy. And so TPUSA, again, not about Christianity, not about Christ, not about anything ethical or virtuous or even conservative or constitutional ideology. It is a political action organization. It is a super PAC for J.D. Vance. That's all it is. That's all you need to know. Turning Point USA is done. It's over. It is the apparatus that is going to be used to raise money, register voters, draw people into the cult formation surrounding J.D. Vance, get ready for all types of messaging, and they have all of the media actors in place to make sure that happens, both on the left and the right. And there are lots of cults out there, lots of them, okay? But there is truth. And, I find truth in the Bible, and as a believer in Christ. But that doesn't mean that Christianity can't be warped and absolutely twisted, and it drives me crazy. Mod trend, I'm still in my pajamas too. It's pajama day. We're going to watch a great it's kind of a quasi movie documentary, Jonestown Paradise Lost, and that's going to be behind the Rumble Premium paywall. But first, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Chicago Steak Company, one of our Rumble advertisers. And this is great for anyone who is scrambling for a Christmas gift last minute. You have to hear this. Our friends over at Chicago Steak Company extended free shipping for Christmas delivery, but their warehouse just told us that they're down to the very last few slots. So you can give your loved ones the top 2% of beef in America, USDA prime and premium Angus, hand cut by master butchers. The marbling on this stuff is so good that when it hits the hot pan, the whole house fills with the sound and the smell of buttery meat goodness. It is the call to the kitchen for everyone. So if you spend $229, they will throw in 6 free ribeye steaks plus free shipping, $240 in premium steak and on the house for you guys. Your gift will show up in a black and gold box packed with dry ice. They crack it open, vapor rolls out, instant Christmas morning vibes. So give them something they'll ask for next year. Don't wait on this. The warehouse is on the line, mychicagosteak.com/rumble. That is mychicagosteak.com/rumble, and the promo code is RUMBLE, RUMBLE. All right, thank you to the folks over at Chicago Steak. Let's go and take a look at the live chat. JCH55 is the very first chatter, so you get your comment read. Fauci versus Jim Jones. At least Jones told them it was poison. The Kool Aid, the cyanide-laced Kool Aid, right? Now, the biggest myth about Jonestown is that these people drank the Kool Aid voluntarily. Now, they went to Jonestown voluntarily, but they quickly learned it was very dangerous there. The military men with machine guns may have given them that clue. Many of them wanted to leave Jonestown after the assassination of the shooting of U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan. There was a mass exodus happening at Jonestown before Jim Jones got up and said, hey, you all have to drink the Kool-Aid. And it was cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And many speculate that it was not a mass suicide. It was a mass murder. And that is a very interesting element to understand. Falling for the cult, getting involved with the cult, even if you believe in it for a short period of time, is very dangerous. And sometimes when you join the cult, you can't leave. And so that is a very important element, and we're gonna look at that behind the Rumble Premium paywall when we view this docu-movie-ish. It's like half movie, half documentary, Jonestown Paradise Lost. Mod Trend is with us. Here we go. On the Bannon show, they were celebrating AmFest. That was the TP USA presentation that was completely lame yesterday. And whatever that is. And I asked, did they release the Epstein files yet? And not a peep from any of his faithful followers. That's right. Epstein files are so old news. But, Susie Wiles is reopening that case. But Susie Wiles is saying that Bill and Hillary Clinton have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. It's actually Trump. She's implicating Trump in the Epstein files, which shows you how quickly the political landscape is changing. We have General Patton on the live chat. Who else? We have Mark the Regan, great to see you. Strident Conservative is with us. Everyone at the Blaze, and I do mean everyone, is all over TPUSA and the new leadership of Erica Kirk. They are already on the Vance train, so watch out. You are absolutely right, Strident Conservative. It's completely pathetic. J.D. Vance is a techno-fascist. J.D. Vance is a puppet. And he's being put in place to roll out the final destruction and shredding of our Constitution and our system of governance here in the US. They're going to try to crush local governments. They're going to try to crush federalism and states' rights. They're going to try to crush individual sovereignty, your privacy. They're going to try to force you into a digital ID and also a digital currency, which is full-scale, food stamp style welfare. And that's what Elon Musk means when he says everyone's going to have a universal basic income. He says it's going to be high. That's a complete lie. And no, we're not going to be puppets. And thank God there is massive resistance to this. Daniel Horowitz is predicting that the resistance to the data centers and AI is going to be the new Tea Party movement, only it's going to be bipartisan. The resistance against these disgusting data centers is going to be made up of Democrats and Republicans. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's going to be decentralized in towns and villages across the United States of America. Of course, they're going to send in people to try to break up the movement. They always try that, but it's getting harder and harder for them to do that. They tried to break up the medical freedom movement with MAHA and the joining up of MAHA with MAGA behind President Trump in 2024. And it is backfiring against them, which is absolutely beautiful. And this is the one news item I want to bring to you guys today. Huge story yesterday. Bobby Kennedy Jr. defunding the American Association of Pediatrics. This organization was the tip of the spear in rolling out vaccine propaganda to pediatricians across the United States of America. Lie after lie about the safety and efficacy of the childhood vaccine schedule coming from the American Association of Pediatrics, among other lies. And on December 17th, 2025, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Undersecretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. terminated 7 federal grants to the AAP, a major professional organization representing over 67,000 pediatricians. So this is a huge story and a massive victory for medical freedom, among other massive cultural victories for the medical freedom movement, and not MAHA, okay? We're seeing plummeting rates of vaccination in every category, including vaccination with COVID-19 vaccines. We're seeing a rollout of new messaging by the federal government and organizations. They're not even calling them vaccines anymore. They're moving to biologics, right? So we're beginning to see a rebranding of the term vaccine because so many people distrust the vaccines, the producers of the vaccines, the promoters of the vaccines, and their own doctors regarding vaccines. That has nothing to do with Supreme Court decisions or legislation or politicians or legal actions. This is a cultural movement. This is momentum that cannot be stopped. Now, many are lamenting the fact that they're using the term biologics, thinking, oh, well, they're going to trick us again. I assure you, as a marketer, and I've been a marketer for 25 years in every genre, broadcasting, podcasting, radio, television, and billboards. I was behind the scenes in advertising and marketing and messaging for 14 years before I became a podcaster, broadcaster. So I understand the power of a brand. And they have been branding vaccines for 100 years, using some of the most sophisticated propaganda you can imagine. The term vaccines was a trusted term for 100 years and $1 trillion that they have used to try to condition the American people to trust vaccines. They're safe and effective. So rebranding them to biologics is going to backfire in their faces because biologics, the term, does not have that 100-year history. So this is a massive win for the medical freedom movement, but it's not because of Bobby Kennedy. And that is the one area that I disagree with all of the celebrating about the pooling of the contracts for the American Association of Pediatrics. Bobby Kennedy didn't do this because he wants to do it. Bobby Kennedy didn't do this because it was the right thing for Bobby Kennedy to do. Bobby Kennedy did this because we forced him to do it. It is not Maha or politicians or any of the men in Washington, D.C., any of the people who have been placed at HHS that achieved this victory. It was a victory achieved by all of you, those of you who are in the medical freedom movement, who refused to stand by in January, February, March, April, May, and June when they were ignoring all of the promises that they made about addressing COVID atrocities, addressing the vaccine injured by COVID shots, addressing the democide of 2020 and 21, addressing the crime of the rollout of Operation Warp Speed. They weren't addressing the liability protection for pharmaceutical corporations. Their messaging wasn't even there. We had a knockdown, drag-out fight with Bobby Kennedy Jr., HHS, Bob Malone, Marty Macri, and all of the people surrounding him in those months. It wasn't Bobby Kennedy that achieved this victory. It was the medical freedom movement and women who stood up and refused to stand down. When they told us to shut up, we got louder. Women like Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, women like Dr. Naomi Wolf, Sasha Latapova, Mary Holland, Catherine Austin Fitz, Emerald Robinson, Maria Z, Ann Vanderstill, Whitney Webb, Lynn Finderella, Dr. Kat Lindley, Debbie Lerman, and more. These were the women that all of the men told to sit down and shut up. And yes, I'll include myself among this group of distinguished women who have bigger balls than most of the balls in Washington, D.C. And as I mentioned, many of us were labeled haters. We were labeled a hate group for criticizing Bobby and told to step down and shut up, but we didn't. We tested one of the immutable laws of politics, and that is this: government people and politicians only understand two things: money and pain. And if you don't have money, which we don't, you had better be prepared to inflict pain relentlessly until you force them to do what you want. And it worked. They told us to wait. They said, try to gain access, play nice, trust the plan. It's four-dimensional chess. You have to understand what they're doing. Oh, you don't understand how the sausage is made, Pollyanna. We're going to pat you on the head and send you away. We called out the BS, and this is why we are seeing victories today. Now, there are a lot of great men who stood with the women that I just mentioned: Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Kirk Moore, Dr. Joe Sansone, Dr. Joe Latapova, or Joe, who am I thinking? There were a lot of men, okay, out there that were also supporting. But honestly, when the rubber hit the road, when we were in the foxhole, it was the women that I just listed and a few others that came together and made this happen. So congratulations, ladies. Let's keep doing more of this. And let's never forget this lesson, that we only get nice things when we hold them accountable, when we don't play nice, when we tell the truth and we organize together. When that happens, we get victories. And this is a huge victory. So let's celebrate that. So that is the one news story that I wanted to run today on this last broadcast, live broadcast of the Shannon Joy Show, Future As. Oh, I see what you're saying. One thing I don't understand about this show is that we say the focus is on concentrating and changing and building local communities, but we always talk about Trump, political influencers, the federal government, etc. That's a great question, Future As. I'm glad you asked it. One of the reasons that I talk about those things is because that's the only way to get this show trending. It's the only way to break the algorithms. It's the only way to get this out to a large enough audience so that we can begin to impact the political discourse and pave the way for change. So my mission is to call them out, right? So every time we have these discussions about the president or media influencers or national headlines, it is to show how they are lying, deceiving, manipulating, and seeing through some of those political impact stories. And so that's why I do it. But as you know, Future As, I'm never, ever, ever pitching you a new politician to save you. I'm never, ever, ever pitching you a new political action group that is going to come in and save the day. I am always pointing people back to localism, local organization, and I'm constantly using examples of local organization to show you that it can be done. One of the problems is that the theme out there, like so many people are captured by the lie that JD Vance will save you, or the new political party will save you, or this Supreme Court decision will save you, when all of their power is located independently, individually in them, but also in their local communities. So we're addressing the politics of the day to be relevant, Future As, so that we can get more eyeballs and more listeners, but constantly moving people into a power space. And that is where you take control of your own life. You begin to organize at the local level. You become emancipated and independent, therefore not fearful. You won't be susceptible to the cults. You won't be susceptible to the TPUSAs or the Daily Wires or the Blazes or the Fox Newses or the left-wing news apparatus. You will be firmly rooted in truth, and you'll be training your mind into truthful thinking. So you've got to be able to see the lies. So that is the point, Future As. Does that make sense to you? Yes, Mark the Regan, silver just keeps going up. Make sure you catch my show yesterday with Peter Schiff. All right, I think it's time, guys. I'll tell you my Christmas story when we go behind the paywall on the Shannon Joy Show. I told you we're going to go about half an hour. Okay, 31 minutes, 32. I'm good. I'm good on my timing. Any other comments here? We are going to be going behind the paywall in just about 2 to 3 minutes. So everyone get ready. If you are not a Rumble Premium member, make sure you sign up right now. In fact, let's read an ad. Oh, we can't for Rumble Premium. Okay, we won't do that. But make sure you sign up now for Rumble Premium, because today we have a lot to get to behind the paywall. First, I'm going to tell you my story about why I don't tell my children about Santa Claus. It's one of my Christmas stories. We'll tell that story behind the Rumble Premium paywall. And then we are going to get right into the docu-movie of the day. It is Jonestown Paradise Lost, the story of the Jonestown cult. Very, very relevant story, very good story. And so we're going to watch that together, complete with commentary from me throughout the show. It is the Midday Matinee with me, Shannon Joy. So we're all going to watch it together and learn something. Everyone needs to know how to resist the cult. I make my children watch cult movies so that they know how cults are formed, what cult leaders do to try to trick them and to try to lie to them and make them fearful and isolate them away from their friends and family. Well, that is done to us on a regular basis at a mass scale through mass media. They're constantly trying to draw us into a variety of cults, and that's why people need to understand them. Understanding is power. When you understand and you know that you're susceptible, myself included, all of us are susceptible to cult-like thinking. And that's why it's important to watch documentaries like this. And the Jonestown story is one of the best because it weaves a warped and bastardized version of Christianity with politics, with the use of fear-based conditioning, trauma conditioning to draw people into a cult, to the extent that they become so vulnerable, they isolate themselves to the point where they're in a foreign country with Jim Jones and his military people, forced to drink the Kool Aid laced with cyanide. Cults are dangerous. Don't get in them. And yes, C-Wave 7, Jonestown, most likely a CIA mind control experiment. Absolutely true. And they actually it seems like they perfected this mind control experiment. But the lesson from Jonestown is this. They didn't break these people's minds to the point where they voluntarily drank the Kool Aid. That's the lie that is told about Jonestown, the lie that the CIA would like you to believe. And probably the reason that they banned across the country and the world the best Jonestown documentary I have ever watched, The Life and Death of People's Temple. It was the PBS documentary. that explained so clearly that this was not a mass suicide, it was a mass murder. And so they couldn't break those people's mind. They want you to think that they can easily break you, but those people woke up. They got themselves in a terrible position, a dangerous position that ultimately got them killed. But they were waking up to Jim Jones. They were realizing that he was a fraud. And they saw it very clearly, but it was too late. This is why we can't allow that to happen in our culture today. They're using the tactics and the techniques that were deployed and perfected by Jim Jones to deploy to us via mass messaging and mass media in the influencer class today. And they're going to use it in 2026, and they're going to use it in 2027. So we need to take those lessons and understand we have to steel our minds to this type of conditioning in order to keep ourselves safe, because we don't want it to become too late. And this is why I'm so excited. I love seeing people waking up to this. I love the fact that no one's getting vaccines and everyone's questioning vaccines and they have to rebrand it. I love the fact that we forced Bobby Kennedy Jr. to defund the American Association of Pediatrics, one of the largest vaccine pimping organizations in the nation, perhaps the world. He didn't do that because he wanted to. He did that because we made him, because we're waking up to the game. And they couldn't just come in with maha, slick messaging, and new influencers to trick us into thinking that they were solving these problems. We woke up to it because we were organized and connected. And that group of women that I just listed to you, we all talk. And we're, in our own ways, organizing with each other. That's how just a few people pushing back from one corner of the world or another locally is incredibly powerful. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that. And so it's the point of what we do on the show every day. LT Oracle of Truth. Shannon, would gifting a sub make them eligible to watch behind the paywall? No, I do believe that you have to become a Rumble Premium member in order to go behind the paywall. So I went long, though. It is time to go behind the Rumble paywall. For those of you who are not going to join us, have a wonderful Christmas. Make sure that you keep it tuned. I'm going to be doing some broadcasts next week. Technically, we're off, but I am going to be doing some lives. And every day at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to run the Shannon Joy Show live broadcast on all of our platforms, and we are running the best of the Shannon Joy Show 2025. I think we're going to name it I Told You So, because basically everything I told you was going to happen this year, starting in December of 2025. The rug pulls, Trump being, a puppet, the techno-fascists coming in, Susie Wiles, all of it we predicted here on the Shannon Joy Show. It was not that difficult to predict. We simply, take them at their word. So we might title it, I Was Right, or I Told You So. But, oh, wow, mod trend. I remember some people hired deprogrammers to get their relatives to leave the Jones cult. It's insane. C-Wave 7, glad to see you on the live chat, by the way, as well. So, yes, have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas holiday, and take a break, rest up, spend time with your kids. I can't wait to spend time with mine. You guys are an amazing audience. Make sure that you take care of our advertisers, and join me behind that Rumble Premium paywall. We're going to go there right now. Okay, guys, have a great Christmas holiday and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you behind that paywall in just a minute.